Hello, I'm Andy and welcome to the beginner's guide for Age of Empire 4. In this video I want to explore and explain some core concepts of Age of Empire 4 and a few ideas to help you get started and improve your game even more. I'm mainly talking about skirmish and multiplayer games in general, but you can apply most of the stuff also in the campaign. So first off, when the game starts, you start with 6 villagers, 1 TC and 1 scout and 1 sheep. You want to send all your villagers on the sheep and you want to use your scout to explore the map. You want to get as many sheep as possible, and you also want to send 2 sheep back early, so you have a smooth H1 and a smooth H-up timing. Also, when the game starts, you want to start producing villagers, and you want to keep producing economy in your TC until you have at least 50% of your maximum population. So usually that's 100 population of villagers, and once you have 100 you can think about stopping it, but most of the time you even want to have more villagers, but you almost never want to stop before you have 100. So for the Holy Roman Empire or the Chinese, you can also get the other economic unit. So for Holy Roman Empire, that would be the monk, which improves your gather rate of your villagers. So that's also a perfectly good decision and also viable. The point is, you want to use your town center all the time and use it to produce economic stuff. Okay, so let's get back to the start of the game. For a ageup, you need 400 food and 200 coin or gold. That means you need to start gathering gold early. Usually you use your 7th or 8th villager already to get some coin. And to avoid getting population capped or housed, you want to use your 8th villager to get a house. Now it depends truly on what strategy you're going for. It is often a good idea to get a ageup early, so you can react to what the enemy is doing, or to be aggressive yourself. If you start ageup early, you don't need too many villagers on the ageup, so it really doesn't hurt your economy too much if you're starting to ageup early. Decide on what strategy you want to use. You can either go for a Feudal Age Agression or an economic fast fortress, but for beginners I do recommend going aggressive, so going for a Feudal Aggression, because it is way easier to play aggressive than playing defensive, because basically you force the game you play on your opponent and you force him to make mistakes, and you're often in situations which you are more used to than your enemy. So usually you want to play aggressive. Some ideas for your Feudal Age Aggression: you can either use the men-at-arms or the riders or some longbows or archers. In both cases you want to move out when you have a sufficient mass. That means for riders or for men-at-arms you want to have at least 3 of those, or for archers you want to have like 9. So for example, if you have 9 longbows, you can one-shot a villager, and so it's way easier to do damage that way. It doesn't matter what units you're going for, avoid suiciding your units into town center. You cannot kill it early in the game, so don't even try it. To avoid suiciding your units, you can use stand ground. That means your units will not follow the enemy units and just stand where they are, so they are not running into their town center. Try to get some economic damage in, so kill some villagers or force some idle time. Also use the aggression to scout what the enemy is doing and react accordingly. So for example, if he's adding cavalry, try adding some pikemen. Now let's quickly talk about the army composition. For army composition you want to get 1 core unit, so for example the longbows, and 1 unit which supplements your core unit, so for example the knight. In this case the archers are countering the pikemen and the monks of the enemy unit, which are a counter to your knights. And the knights are good at taking damage, so they are tanking for your longbows. And they are also good at killing siege, melee infantry, and also decent against buildings. Doing it similar to this, each unit of you balances out the weaknesses of the other unit. Another example would be infantry in siege, but there are loads of different army compositions, and if you keep this principle in mind, you will end up with a decent army composition. Also, don't be too stubborn. If you see that your army composition is not working against what the enemy is doing, you can always try to switch up your army. Now that we've talked about army composition, what do you actually do with your army? You want to play for map control, disrupt the enemy economy, stay aggressive on the map, and react to what the enemy is doing. You also want to try to get good engagements. You get good engagements if you have more army at a spot on the map than your enemy. The basic idea is more stuff beats less stuff, and that's usually also true if your army composition is slightly weaker than your enemy. If you have double this army size, you will still always get a good engagement. And now you might be wondering, how do I get a bigger army than my enemy? Well, that's also pretty simple. You have to get a better economy than your enemy. And you do that either by killing his economy or by getting more economy than your opponent. One tip I can give is to always keep your resources low by spending them and using them to get economy or to get army, so you can get out on the map and disrupt his economy so you can get ahead in the game. The worst way to lose a game is if you lost a game and you have still lots of resources in the bank. Now you might say, how do I achieve that? I have 15 production buildings on all sides of the map. How do I keep them all busy? Well, to keep it simple, use your keyboard to play. So you want to use as many hotkeys as possible. This way you can focus on microing your army during the battle while still producing units to support your army, and allows you to maintain your economy so you can keep producing your army to use your army to kill the enemy army. So yeah, if you haven't already, get used to hotkeys, and if you're already using hotkeys, try to use more hotkeys so you can play faster. It really improves your game by a lot, and it also, most importantly, looks more stylish. Okay, so now let's quickly summarize the main ideas of this video. First of all, you always want to keep your town center working by producing villagers or other economic units. Then you want to keep those villagers working and not have them standing around idle and doing nothing. You also want to keep your resources low by spending your resources so you can get out as much army and economy as possible. The next thing you want to do is get a basic build order and also get a game plan, at least for the first 5 to 10 minutes of a game. You also want to get a decent army composition. Usually you do this by getting one core unit and one supplement unit, which counters the counter of your main unit. Also don't be afraid to switch up your army composition a bit. With the big army you want to be active on the map and you want to get good engagements. The basic principle to get good engagements usually is more stuff beats less stuff. And the last tip is to get used to hotkeys early and use them to your advantage. This allows you to focus on the battles while also maintaining your economy. This is also the end of this video. What are your thoughts about things every player should do to improve his game? Let me know in the comments. Thanks for watching and see you guys around. Bye bye!